Good morning YouTube. Saturday the 3rd of May. It is match day. We're coming to the end of the season. The matches have been coming thick and fast. We've been doing Wednesday, Saturday for the last 2 weeks. And my body has been feeling it alongside all the other training that I'm doing. So match day preparation is vital. And if I don't get it right, I don't feel great. And we are going to talk about the key components of match day preparation. This is regardless of the level you play at. Semi-pro, professional, amateur, pub league. Match day preparation is important and it matters. We're going to talk about 3 key components. We're going to talk about nutritional preparation. We're going to talk about how you can fuel, how you can recover. We're going to talk about physical preparation, what you should be doing with your training, what you should not be doing with your training, what you should be doing on match day in terms of stretching, mobility, preparation, and then mental and psychological preparation. The 3 key components to make sure that you arrive on that pitch on Saturday, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 10:30, whatever time it is that you start your game, in prime condition to perform, to make sure that you get the most out of yourself. Why am I qualified to speak about matchday preparation? Well, I've played the game for as long as I can remember. I started off as a goalkeeper, I then went to a defender, and then went to a midfielder, and then played striker. Believe it or not, I've actually got a top goal scorer award in my cupboard at home. That's hard to believe for anyone that's played football with me. It's true, under 16 level. I then ended up going back to midfield, back to defence, so in theory I should be back in the goal soon. But no, I played boys club all the way up until 19. I then signed for Forfar under 20s. At the same time as playing for Forfar under 20s, I played for Forfar West End, which is, for anyone that's not from Scotland, it's like a junior level, which is semi-professional, if you can call it that. I then went on to play 6 or 7 years at juniors, with 1 year in between that where I moved to Australia, and I played a couple of different levels in Australia. I played a really good level, and then I played at like a pub league level. The pub league level was very fun, and I played for a Greek team out there. They were called Hartsville Minotaurs. Shout out to the general, who was the manager, the big Greek guy who sat in a chair the whole game. Shouted Malaka at me a lot. Anyone that understands Greek will realise that that's not a good thing. And then I came back. I played for Abertay University for a couple of years, alongside playing for West End again. I played for Kerry Thistle, played for Arbroath Vicks, played for Forfar United, and now currently play at a slightly lower level at amateurs for Finavon AFC in Forfar. I enjoy it. I've always enjoyed football. I've only ever really taken 6 months out of football my whole career, and yeah, the season is almost done. We've only got a couple games left. There's a cup still to play for, 1 more league game, and we'll see how it ends. And also, I'm a strength and conditioning coach. I've got years of experience of coaching footballers with their strength and conditioning on the pitch, with their technical work, and I'm a centre half. I'm a one-dimensional centre half. I have contacted the ball more times with my head than I have with my feet in my whole career. I'm almost certain of it. To die and breed that, I'm telling you. So this part is kind of interesting. This is almost like mental, physical and nutritional preparation. What I'm doing right now is I've got the pram with the wee man. I have the wee man on a Saturday morning as well. I take him out for a walk. Again, it's sunny today, it's a nice day here in Forfar, so it makes everything a little bit easier, but I just take him out for a nice casual walk. So why is this good for physical preparation? Well, it gets my legs moving, I get a bit of blood flow going, that's positive, that's a good thing. Mental preparation, I get to just get my thoughts out into the world. I get to walk, I'm on my own, well, unless he's awake, he's asleep right now. I get to think about the game, how I want to do, how I want to play, the things I want to do, the positive actions that I want to take during the game. And then from a nutritional standpoint, I just had my breakfast. There's a heap of carbohydrates in there. Actually then going for a walk will help me digest those carbohydrates and get them flowing into the right places. If I have a massive carbohydrate meal, which I just did, and I don't then move after it, it can feel quite heavy. It can feel like it just sits in my stomach and I can feel pretty bloated. So by going for something as simple as a walk on the morning of match day, I've ticked 3 massive boxes. We're going to head home, and then we're going to go and do some stretching, some mobility, a little bit of plyometric work in the confines of my living room, a little bit of foam rolling, any tightness that I've got we can get working on, and then we go from there. We were extremely low on essential carbohydrates, so just nipped to Asda to get an energy gel for half time, a Lucozade for before the game, and some bagels for the second meal of the day. It's essential on match day that you have plenty of carbs in the system. If you don't, you might feel flat, a little bit less explosive, generally just a little bit zapped of energy. Carbohydrate is the #1 fuel source for high intensity exercise, and football falls into that bracket. There's a lot of explosive movements, a lot of sprinting, a lot of change of direction. You can feel super flat in the game if you've not got enough carbs in the system. Don't you dare have none. having none is probably the worst idea that you could ever have. The thing that you've got to consider with carbohydrates is picking carbohydrates that digest well and eating them at the right stage of the day. Carbohydrates fall into different brackets of what you call the glycemic index. Some carbohydrates are super fast absorbing and will go straight to the bloodstream. It's things like sweets, things like chocolate, things like croissants, pastries and things like that. And then you've got things on the other end of the scale which are slower to digest. So you've got like brown rice, brown pasta, porridge oats, and they digest slower. So we have to understand when to pick these carbohydrates and when to eat them. So if we're eating a big massive bowl of porridge half an hour before kickoff, it's probably going to sit pretty heavy in your stomach. However, if we eat a white bagel, it's probably going to digest a lot quicker and you're going to be able to utilise those carbohydrates a lot faster. So back from the walk, quite a long walk actually, I think I was out there for an hour. Went to the shop, bought a few different things, carbohydrates, Lucozade, bagels, some water, just in a big bottle so I can put my electrolytes in there because I am notorious for losing bottles and I can't find any of my other ones. What is the nutritional approach? We talked a little bit about it, but the nutritional approach actually starts the day before. You'll have heard about carb loading. If you're watching this channel, you've probably heard someone talk about carb loading. You're probably like, that's just eating a lot of carbs, isn't it? There are some recommendations around how many carbs per kilogram of body weight you should be having the day before a game or the day before a run. And I think the problem with these recommendations is that they are very much on the high end of the scale. And when you put that amount of carbohydrates in front of someone and they try to eat it, they're like, that's mental, that's so much pasta. So let's simplify things. With carb loading, I would simply take the usual portion that you have with your meal. So if you have rice, pasta, we'll stick to things like this, rice, pasta. If you have fajitas, for example, an extra wrap, that's more carbs. 25% extra pasta on your plate, 25% extra rice on your plate. Simple, you don't even need to weigh it, you can just go, how much have I got on my plate now? How can I add an extra 25%? It's especially important if you're not used to doing it. If you've not carb loaded before and you've not eaten a heap of carbs the night before for your performance, then don't try and follow the top end of the recommendations. We then spin into the next morning and we have something, I usually have something about an hour after I get up. And I will always go for a food that I'm familiar with, one that I have a lot. And for me, that's oats. That's a bowl of oats, porridge oats, with a bit of protein, some berries, maybe a bit of banana if I've got it. And I'll have that around about 4 to 5 hours before kickoff. So it's got time to digest. I go out on my walk, I come back, and I've got space to eat a little bit more carbohydrates. Hence the bagels. Then when we get closer to the match, what we'll have is we will have something like a bit of fruit. We might even have like an actual sweetie.
Would you like a sweetie?
A bit of confectionery, if you want to call it that.
A absolutely stupendous confectionery.
Because again, it's a simple carbohydrate, it's fast absorbing, kind of just like these energy gels. It's essentially just like a blended Haribo. That is essentially what this is. Lucozade, liquid Haribos. It's pretty much the same thing, but people look at Haribos and sweets and they go, oh no, I can't have that, that's terrible. When we get to like 20 minutes, half an hour before kickoff, we're probably not eating too much. We're probably just sipping on our Lucozade, sipping on our water, and we're good to go. And then when it comes to half time, we use this. Not because it's superior to Lucozade or superior to Haribos or superior to any other sweet, but because it's beneficial in that sense as well when you're running. That's why these were designed. They were designed so you didn't need to carry a bottle around with you when you were running, so you could pull this out your back pocket, zip it, squeeze it, chuck it in the bin, and you're done. Now we come on to physical preparation. If you have been doing things right, you've been training consistently throughout the week, through Monday to Friday, and you have then pulled back your lower body volume Thursday, Friday, maybe even Wednesday, so that you're not going into the game on Saturday fatigued, you should be feeling pretty good on Saturday morning. You should be feeling pretty ready to go. It should just be the finishing touches that we put in place now. In the living room right now with Freddie, if he allows me, we're going to do some mobility. We're going to do some stretching, we're going to loosen off the tight hips. This is a me thing, that's my tight hip personally. That's the thing that I struggle with. And then we're going to do a little bit of plyo, a little bit of priming work, which is essentially just getting your body ready for action, getting ready for the fast movements that you're about to carry out. Let's see if I can find a space on the floor to do this. Yeah, so this mobility work is the intention behind...
Press the number buttons to call your friends.
The intention behind this work is always to loosen off tight areas, which are going to be important for my movement. How do you turn this thing off? They're going to be important for the way that I move on a football park. So if my hips are tight and I've not loosened them off a little bit, and they're tight because of the other work that I'm doing during the week. I'm training lower body, I'm training for high rocks, so I need to loosen them off. Or else, when I'm trying to sharply turn to my left, to my right, run backwards, make a tackle, I'm going to be slow. I'm going to be tight. I'm going to turn like an Arctic lorry, and we do not want that. So when it comes to psychological preparation, mental preparation for a game of football, you may not have thought about this too much before, but it's something that I have considered a whole lot because it used to plague my game. Genuinely just not being in the zone during the game was the thing that I massively struggled with. So I actually recorded a podcast with a guy who I'm going to plug right now because he was massively important to changing my game. His name's John Johnston. I'm plugging his book right now. It's called Master Your Confidence, The Elite Footballer's Guide to High Performance. Master Your Confidence, The Elite Footballer's Guide to High Performance. And I read John's book, and he has worked with some of the top players in Scotland, Lawrence Shankland, John Suter, the Cadden brothers that play for Hibs, alongside various other players. And he is so good at what he does, and it really helped me simplify my game. And he taught me a few tips and tricks that I can use on match day and in preparation to help me build confidence in my performance. A couple of the tips and tricks that John showed me were, first thing, it might seem a little bit silly and a little bit stupid, but if you've got access to highlights of your games, the things that you've done well, John recommends that you create an album on your phone of all of those good bits, all the things that you want to do well in a game. And if you're lacking in confidence before a game, go and watch it, go and look at what you're good at, and go and look at what happens when you're actually at the top of your game. See, yeah. And that can really build confidence for you going into a game because it stops this negative cycle of thoughts going through your brain. Oh, what about this player's better than me? What about if I do this wrong? No, what about if you do this right? What about the things that you do on a football park that are actually great? And the third thing that you can deploy right before kickoff in the changing room is actually just, and this is, again, seems a bit odd, and some people might think, like, you're playing junior football, amateur football, you're overthinking it. But I used to do this. So I used to sit back in the changing room 10 minutes before kickoff. I still do it. 10 minutes before kickoff, and I would think about those videos, I would think about the things that I do well, I would think about my first action in the game, I would think about what would it look like if I had a really good game, and what are the qualities that I want to show to my teammates. I want to communicate well, I want to feel relaxed and confident on the ball, I want to be commanding, and I think about all my positive qualities and all the things that I do well, and I actually step away from those negative thoughts about what could go wrong and about, oh, what if I make this mistake, because I spent so much of my early football career worrying about what I was going to do wrong rather than thinking about what I do well. And those are the 3 best tips. So simple, really so simple. 3 best tips I ever heard, and I would argue they've changed my game for the past 3 years. I've been a much more confident in the zone player on the football park, and I just wish I'd thought about the mental side of my game a lot earlier in my career. I always had the physical stuff dialed in, I always had the nutrition dialed in, but I never really thought about the mental side of my game and how that could affect it. So we are now 2 hours away from the meet, and I'm hungry again, and if I'm hungry I've got space in my stomach for some more carbohydrates. So what we've went for is, it's pretty simple. First coffee of the day, I'll probably have another one before we kick off. Caffeine can benefit focus. There's a lot of evidence out there to suggest it actually can improve change of direction, acceleration, reaction to stimulus. I'm not saying this is going to happen to you if you have a coffee before kickoff, but there's a lot of research out there to suggest that it's actually quite good to get some caffeine in before a sporting event. Just don't have too much that you're going to shit yourself. Half a bagel with Nutella and honey on it. Just getting some of those simple sugars, carbohydrates in there. This is going to taste good. I've now got Nutella on my face and on the fork. Ready to go. Shaved, probably missed about 1 million bits. Brushed my teeth, all the amazing things. Fresh fade, what else could you need? to perform at a game of football other than two functional legs which can actually play football. Half an hour until we meet. I've got to go and pick up the wee man, and then I'm going to go for one last walk, not because I'm really choosing to, because I have to drop the car off for early. I'm going to walk to football, pretty stretched out, feeling pretty mobile, feeling good. It is a nice day for a game of football. Let's see what we can do. Half an hour before meet. Is that right? He's really challenged this YouTube video. Banana down the hatch. No more food, no more solid food. I shouldn't eat with my mouth, so no more solid food. Lucozade and gel's only next. Sorry about that. Well, 1-0 win. It was not pretty, let me tell you that, but felt good the whole game. Gonna try and recover as best as possible. Maybe going for a few beers tonight, and that's okay. I'm also having a KFC right now as well, which would not usually be my post-football scran, but we need to get out the door really quickly to go up to Kerry to go to Bonfest. So if you can't eat a little bit of shite on a Saturday night, when can you eat it?